loan repayment moratorium valued at 78.14 billion ringgit as at 21st August. MDEC Mastercard Inc. MOU to support digital initiatives. And you're watching News at 10 with me, Brendan Lepong. The value of the moratorium on loan repayment by financial institutions stood at 78.14 billion ringgit as at 21st of August. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Aziz today said out of this figure, a total of 27.35 billion ringgit was utilized by the business sector, while 50.79 billion ringgit was utilized by the people. This moratorium came into effect on the 1st of April and will end on 30th September this year. Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said for those who still need a moratorium extension and targeted bank assistance after the 30th of September, the banking institutions are ready to help the borrowers. He said this in the 19th Laksana report on the implementation of the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package, Prihatin, and National Economic Recovery Plan, Penjana. As at 21st of August, the number of applications that had been approved by local banks and accepted by the small and medium enterprises, SMEs, for SME soft loan funds was 10.2 billion ringgit, which will benefit 22,322 SMEs. Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said the amount was an increase from 10.1 billion ringgit last week, which benefited 22,143 SMEs. He said the amount included the Special Relief Facility, Automation and Digitalization Facility, All Economic Sector Facility and Agro-Food Facility. Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, especially in the rural and suburban areas, will soon be able to secure loans from banks and be exposed to e-commerce with the rolled out of Malaysia's Digital Economy Initiative. Such an opportunity will be made available to them with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, between the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, and Mastercard today. Objectives of the collaboration include advancing the digitalization of Malaysia's economy and supporting the digital initiatives outlined in the government's National Economic Recovery Plan, Penjana. Speaking to reporters after witnessing the MOU signing, Deputy Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Zahidi Zainul Abidin said the MOU would narrow the gap in digital technology knowledge between urban and rural entrepreneurs as it will expose MSMEs to digital payments and transactions.
Di mana bukan saja kita bantu dari segi prihatin penjana, tetapi dari segi pengetahuan digital. Pengetahuan digital yang usahakan oleh MDEC dan juga pihak swasta seperti Mastercard ni adalah cukup penting untuk kita tingkatkan lagi penggunaan peningkatan ekonomi kita daripada cashless, maknanya daripada penggunaan digital, pengetahuan digital dalam bidang keuangan.
In his speech, Dato' Zahidi said the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been felt by all quarters of society, including the small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, that make up a significant 98.5% of Malaysian businesses and are ultimately the backbone of the country's economy. MDEC Chief Executive Officer Surina Shukri in a speech said, by working with Mastercard and drawing on their expertise in developing a vast electronic payment infrastructure, MDEC looks forward to tackling a range of pressing economic and social issues through technology. Mastercard's Malaysia and Brunei country manager Perry Ong meanwhile said Mastercard would facilitate the initiative, noting that SMEs might receive any financial assistance digitally in a card. The Kedah government intends to list internet connectivity as the third utility to be used as a condition for developers to implement development projects in new areas in the state. Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah said Kedah Menteri Besar Muhammad Sanusi Madno has agreed with his proposal to recognise internet service as utility, just like water and electricity supplies, which are required in obtaining the planning permission approval.
kalau kita ambil contoh sebuah kawasan perumahan, dia masuk saja, dia beli rumah, air dengan api dah siap. Tapi konektiviti internet datang kemudian. Jadi kita minta tadi kalau boleh ditimbangkan oleh pihak Kerajaan Negeri Kedah supaya sebagaimana dilihat untuk bekalan air dan elektrik, maka untuk internet connectivity, internet juga dilihat sebagai utility yang ketiga.
Datuk Saifuddin said the proposal, however, would require the amendment of some related laws and regulations. He also praised the establishment of a one-stop agency by the Kedah government to expedite the construction and approval process of towers for internet services in the state. He was met after receiving a courtesy call from Muhammad Sanusi at the ministry in Putrajaya today. Six new COVID-19 cases were reported today, including one case involving MV Glen cluster. In Selangor, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said with the development, the overall total COVID-19 cases in Malaysia stands at 9,360 with 153 active cases. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said from the total new cases, 4 were import cases, all involving foreigners, while 2 other cases were local transmissions among Malaysians. Out of the 4 import cases, 3 were from Indonesia and 1 from Syria. In a statement today, he said for local transmissions, 1 was from the MV Glen cluster and 1 more was from screening at the workplace in Pahang. The patient did not have any symptoms and had been warded Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital. Meanwhile, he said there were 4 COVID-19 recovery cases today, taking the cumulative full recovery total to 9,079 cases, or 97% of the overall cases. As at today, 4 patients are still being treated at the intensive care unit, with 3 of them requiring respiratory assistance. As people return to work after the long Merdeka weekend yesterday, the number of those arrested for offences under the Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO) has dropped significantly. Senior Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said 39 individuals were detained on Tuesday compared to 778 people the day before. He said among those arrested included 5 for employing migrant workers without valid working permits, 5 owners of premises that operated beyond the permitted hours, and 6 individuals for failing to provide proper registration and entry lock at their premises. Also detained on the same day included 13 people who did not wear face masks and 10 individuals who took part in activities that made physical distancing difficult. In a statement today, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said 27 were slapped with compounds, 7 placed under remand, while the rest released on bail. He said police inspected 27,379 vehicles at 62 Ops Benteng roadblocks conducted nationwide on Tuesday to prevent undocumented immigrants from entering the country illegally. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has been rated highly by voters according to a poll published today on his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and greater representation of the ethnic Malay majority in his administration. Tan Sri Muhyiddin received a 69% approval rating in a survey run by independent pollster Merdeka Centre for Opinion Research 6 months after taking office in March following a power struggle that saw the collapse of the previous multi-ethnic government led by Tun Mahathir Mohamad. Survey respondents also gave a 93% approval rating for the government's handling of COVID-19 and rated it highly for helping the needy and managing the economy during the coronavirus-induced crisis. Malaysia has reported just over 9,300 COVID-19 virus infections in the last popularity poll published by Merdeka Centre in April last year. Less than half of Malaysians approved of the then Premier Tun Mahathir as concerns over rising costs and racial issues plagued his administration. Merdeka Centre Executive Director Ibrahim Sufian said Malay voters indicated a strong preference for the administration's management of the pandemic and the ensuing economic fallout and for bringing together long feuding Malay political parties. Malays account for some 60% of Malaysia's population of about 32 million, with the rest comprised mostly of Chinese and Indian minorities. Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who leads the Malay-based party Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia Bersatu Party, secured the premiership backed by two of the largest parties representing Malay interests, UMNO and PAS. MACC denies restricting Lim Guan Eng from entering Sabah. That and more. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, today stressed that it has never barred former Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng from travelling to any state in the country. Its Chief Commissioner, Datuk Sri Azam Baki, said there may have been a mistake when the DAP Secretary General arrived at the Kota Kinabalu airport yesterday, causing him to be detained for about half an hour.
Apa yang berlaku ialah arahan mahkamah untuk beliau tidak boleh keluar negara saja. Itu dipanggil pasport beliau telah di-impounded oleh mahkamah supaya beliau tidak boleh melakukan perjalanan keluar negara. Jadi perjalanan dalam negara tidak ada masalah kerana beliau tidak disekat untuk pergi ke mana-mana dalam negeri Malaysia ni.
He said this to reporters after officiating the Chakna Raswa program in Bandar Hele, Melaka today. Earlier today, Lim alleged double standards and questioned Putrajaya if it was trying to interfere in Sabah's sovereignty after an immigration department officer refused him entry into the state, purportedly on a directive from MACC. Lim said all entry to Sabah is governed by the state itself and not the federal government. Last month, Lim pleaded not guilty after he was charged with allegedly seeking a bribe to help a company be appointed for the infrastructure works, including the 6.3 billion ringgit Pulau Pinang undersea tunnel project. In two other separate cases, he also claimed trial to a graft charge involving 3.3 million ringgit over the multi-billion ringgit undersea tunnel project and a separate graft charge involving businesswoman Fang Li Kun. Police have crippled an armed gang linked to nearly 50 robberies in and around Klang, Selangor, some of which stretch back to before the movement control order was imposed with the arrest of several of its members. The group, comprising Myanmar refugees, would go around in a blue Perodua car, targeting people walking on the road shoulders. They have also been linked to a number of house break-ins. North Klang Police Chief ACP Nurul Huda Muhammad Saleh today said that a police team raided a budget hotel at around 12:15 a.m. on the 28th of August and arrested a Myanmar man and women and seized jewellery and other items believed to have been stolen.
Modus operandi geng ini adalah 4 orang suspek menaiki sebuah kereta Alza dengan bersenjatakan parang telah menyasarkan mangsa samun di jalanan dan jenayah pecah rumah yang ditinggalkan kosong. Dengan tertangkapnya 6 ahli kumpulan ini, setakat ini pihak polis percaya telah berjaya menyelesaikan lebih kurang 45 kes di beberapa daerah di Kelang, Kuala Langat, Kuala Selangor dan 17 kes setakat ini di Kelang Utara.
Briefing reporters at the North Klang Police Headquarters, she said one of the suspects then led police to 2 pawn shops in Teluk Panglima Garang, Kuala Langat, where a man and 3 women were arrested and several jewellery items were seized. 2 men and 2 women, also from Myanmar, were later arrested in raids at Klang and Kuala Langat. ACP Nurul Huda said investigation revealed that the group had been active since February in North and South Klang, Kuala Selangor and Kuala Langat. 5 of the suspects were born in Malaysia, while the other had been in Malaysia for over 30 years, with all of them having valid United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee UNHCR cards. Police also seized cash, jewellery, mobile phones, notebooks, pawn shop slips worth at least 150,000 ringgit. A blue Perodua car believed to have been used by the suspect was also seized. ACP Nurul Huda said police were now looking for a woman and 3 men in their 20s and 30s to help with the investigations. They are Nur Jahan, Rafiq, Mat Alam and Hussein. A private college student was sentenced to 5 months in jail by a magistrate's court in Bukit Mertajam for assaulting a food delivery man at the start of August. Ang Tung Lin, 33, pleaded guilty to voluntarily causing hurt to Muhammad Muzammil Abdullah, 34, in front of a house in Alma, Bukit Mertajam at about 11:05 a.m. on the 6th of August. He was charged under Section 323 of the Penal Code, which provides for a maximum jail term of 1 year, a maximum fine of 2,000 ringgit, or both upon conviction. Judge Ahzal Faris Ahmad Khairuddin ordered the accused to serve the jail term starting from the same date of the arrest on the 7th of August. Deputy Public Prosecutor Muhammad Nazri Abdul Rahim prosecuted while the accused was unrepresented. A chemist told Coroner's Court in Seremban, Negeri Sembilan today that the drug analysis conducted on 3 specimens obtained from the body of the Franco-Irish teenager Nora Ann Quarren, including her liver on 19 August last year, found no trace of common drugs. Suhana Ismail, 52, who works at the Toxicology Division Centre of Analysis for Forensic Science Department of Chemistry, said she also performed a pesticide analysis, organophosphate and organochlorine, on the 3 specimens on the same date and also did not find any traces of pesticides. Suhana said apart from the analysis on the liver specimen, she also conducted tests on 2 other specimens, peritoneal fluid from the abdomen and psoas muscle found in the hips or buttocks. Suhana, the 7th witness in Nora Ann inquest proceedings to determine the cause of death of the teenager, said this in response to a question from Deputy Public Prosecutor Noratika Sapari, who is also the inquest coordinating officer in today's proceeding before Coroner Maimuna Aid. To a question from the coroner on why she had only conducted analysis on drugs and pesticides, Suhana said this was because the Toxicology Division only analyzes these 2 substances. Nora Ann, 15, went missing on the 4th of August last year, a day after she and her family arrived in Malaysia for a 2-week holiday at a resort in Pantai, Seremban. On 13 August, 10 days after she went missing, her body was found near a creek in Aravan, about 2.5 kilometers from the resort where she and her family stayed following a massive search. Preliminary surgical reports stated that the death of the teenager, who was a person with disability, had no criminal element, and the teenager was confirmed dead from gastrointestinal bleeding due to the prolonged hunger and stress. Former Information, Communications and Culture Minister Tan Sri Dr. Rais Yatim was elected the new President of Dewan Negara, the upper house of Parliament. He replaces Tan Sri S.A. Vigneswaran, whose term of office ended on the 22nd of June. Tan Sri Dr. Rais, 78, was elected the 18th Dewan Negara President through a secret ballot. He was among the 3 candidates proposed for the post, namely Senator Muhammad Yusmadi Muhammad Yusuf and Senator Theodore Douglas Lin. However, Theodore withdrew at the last minute. Tan Sri Dr. Rais obtained 45 votes, whereas Muhammad Yusmadi secured 19 votes. The result was announced by Dewan Negara Deputy President Senator Datuk Sri Abdul Halim Abdul Samad. Earlier, the motion to elect the former minister was tabled by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Taqiyuddin Hassan, representing Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, in accordance with Rule of Meeting 4, subsection 1, the Standing Order of the Dewan Rakyat. The motion was seconded by Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Shabuddin Yahya, while Muhammad Yusmadi was proposed for the post by Senator Dr. Ahmad Azam Hamzah. The Youth and Sports Ministry, KBS, has given 150,000 ringgit to the Sports Writers Association of Malaysia, SAM. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Rizal American, Naina American, announced the allocation during his speech at the 2019 SAM 100 Plus Awards ceremony at Academy Badminton Malaysia, ABM, recently. Elaborating further on the matter, Datuk Sri Rizal Merakan said that of the total, 50,000 ringgit was in the form of subsidy to help SAM cover its 2 years rental of office space until December 2022, while the other 100,000 ringgit was as financial aid. He also said that the 100,000 ringgit financial aid will be given out by the end of this month, and he hoped SAM will take steps to continue to spread the country's name to all corners of the world using the various communication medium that exists today. The minister also suggested that SAM should contribute its expertise in the field of digitalization to National Sports Association and SAS so that the digitalization fund of 30,000 ringgit as allocated through the 2020 Sports Concern Initiative could be best utilized. At News at 10, in our top story, loan repayment moratorium valued at 78.14 billion ringgit as at the 21st of August. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepal. Thanks for watching. A breakdown. Murray immediately broke back.